All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the pop-up stopper right here that you're going to find in about 80% of the homes in the U.S. And what I'm going to do here, I'm not going to waste any of your time or mine. I'm going to show you how this system works. I'm going to show you how to do the repairs, the most common repairs that you're ever going to need to do to this. Then we're going to talk about what I charge when I work on these for my property managers. And then once we're done with that, I'm going to show you the kit that I've built that I use to maintain these that makes me extremely efficient and extremely profitable when I'm fixing a pop-up stopper. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. So we'll start at the stopper, and this here is the actual stopper itself. This piece right here that you can see going inside the pipe, this rod right here, this is the ball rod. The reason it's called a ball rod, I'll show you in a minute. There's a ball inside of this little piece that threads on here, and that ball is what seals it while allowing it to move. Right here, this piece is the lifting rod extension, and then right above the lifting rod extension is the actual lifting rod itself. And hopefully the camera picks this up, but what you're looking at right here is the actual ball rod that would go inside there. And this is the most common reason that you're going to need to fix these, is as you can see, it's just completely rusted out. So the metal portion that should be inside here, actually in the tube, lifting the stopper up and down, that section has just completely rusted away. And 9 times out of 10, that's the reason that you're going to have to work on these to begin with. And what you're going to do is replace the ball rod. And in order to do that, I typically use these kits right here. You can pick these up at Home Depot, Ace Hardware, Lowe's, pretty much anywhere. They may be different brands, but you can usually get these kits that are going to have really every single part that you need to fix this, except for the stopper itself. And if you need a stopper, of course, then go ahead and pick up the stopper itself while you get the kit. So I'm going to run around to the other side now, and I'm going to show you all how we actually fix this. And one of the first things I want to point out is a lot of times you don't even have to go into the cabinet. A lot of times you can just open up the door and stand out here and reach just like this. But the first thing you're going to do to check out this ball rod is you're just going to unscrew this piece. Pretty simple. And once you get that piece out, see, there's your ball. And then you can just take the entire ball rod out here, and then that allows you to lift your stopper up and down. Now, if all you're doing is replacing the stopper itself, I want you to notice that the holes that this ball rod goes into, these are offset to one side. You don't want to have them over here, because what you want is the maximum amount of rod going through that hole so that it can't slip out. Sometimes the reason these slip out is simply because they're turned the wrong way. So if all you're doing is replacing the stopper, go ahead and turn that way, point it right back at the faucet, and then come in here with your ball rod, get your ball seated all the way in there, and then just come down until you feel that rod. And once you feel that rod, all you've got to do is pull the rod out a little bit, come down a little bit, push the rod back in. You don't need to be able to see any of this. I know you guys can see it because I'm filming a video, but you can do all of this by feel. Let me try to get those threads lined up there. There we go. And as you can see, I didn't have to enter the cabinet at all. All I've got to do is get this guy tightened back on just right, and then come up here and test it out, and it's functioning perfectly. So the next situation, as we talked about before, is going to be when you're replacing one of these bad ball rods here. Again, first thing we're going to do is, of course, just unscrew this so we can get the ball rod out of the drain. So there's the ball rod coming out of the drain. Now pay attention, this one is on the 3rd hole. If you look at this piece here, if I can turn it where you can see it, it's got a bunch of holes. So this one is in the 3rd hole. You want to note that mentally. Go ahead and pull it out. There we go. So here is your hypothetically old ball rod. There's a bad one, there's a good one right there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our new ball rod and we're going to slide the threaded piece over. We're going to come back into the hole here. We're going to make sure, of course, that we get this lined up just right. Pull it out a little, drop down, come back in. Now we've got that inside there. So we have the stopper itself captured by the ball rod. Let's get that tightened down most of the way. Now we're going to take our retainer clip and we're going to slide one side of the retainer clip on and keep it on there. And then we're going to go ahead and count these holes. 1, 2, 3. That's the one we took it out of initially. We're going to slide that hole back over the rod. We're going to take our retainer clip, slide the other end of the retainer clip back on, and this should work when we test it. Boom, there we go, works just fine. Now, 9 times out of 10, all you're going to be doing is either replacing the stopper itself or replacing the ball rod, and you're not usually going to mess with any of this. But if you do have to mess with this, if you're replacing your lifter rod or your lifter rod extension, one of the things you'll have to notice is that those two connect to each other right here. I hope you can see that well, but right there, these guys connect to each other. So your lifter rod, once you undo this thumb screw, your lifter rod can come right out just like that. And this is how you actually get these lined up. So you get these two together, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you push down on this, that it's going to pop that all the way up. So you take this to its bottommost position, you put your rod all the way down in there, and then what I typically do is I raise the rod up just a little bit, like 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and then I go ahead and turn that thumb screw, and I tighten it in right at that spot. And what that's going to do is you're going to be able to lift up all the way no matter what, but when you push down, it's going to make sure that the top of your lifter rod almost bottoms out on the faucet, but not quite, and it's going to make sure that you have a full range of motion here. So once you get all that done, again, just make sure that you're nice and tight right here, and the tighter you make that, the harder this will be to pop up and down. So you can just keep testing that out until you're comfortable with the tension. And that's really it for this, guys. I mean, there's not much more that we actually need to do on here. You may be replacing a faucet someday. You may be replacing this whole drain assembly someday. But what I'm showing you here today is just these pop-up stoppers. I do tons and tons of them. So now I want to go ahead and start talking to you about what I charge for these. And here's what I charge for these. So if this is a one-off job, meaning I'm coming to your property just to work on this and nothing else, then I'm just going to charge my trip fee, which is $150. And this is going to be a 5-minute job, maybe a 15-minute job. Worst case scenario, you're replacing the entire drain pipe assembly, and that's still only a 20 or 25-minute job. So really, no matter what's wrong with your pop-up stopper, if it's not anything super unusual, it's going to be a really fast job. I'm going to charge $150. If this is on a move out, so if I'm on a vacant property where I've already charged a trip fee just to get to the property that doesn't cover any work, and I'm doing a punch list of work, and if this is just simply an addition to a larger punch list of work, then typically I'm going to charge somewhere in the ballpark of about $55 to $65 for a pop-up stopper. And now these prices, by the way, never, ever, ever include materials. Anytime you're watching my channel, if I'm telling you what I'm charging for something, I'm not talking about materials. Materials prices vary over time. They vary region to region, and they vary based on the quality that your client wants you to use. So I'm never talking about materials, only labor. $150 as a standalone item if that's the only reason I came to your house. Or if I'm adding this to a larger work order, then the price that I charge to add this to a larger work order is going to be about $55 to $65. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the kit that I've built to work on these, and this kit is designed so that when I need to work a pop-up stopper, I can grab my EDC bag, which always has the same tools in it every single day, and I can grab the one kit for this, and I will not need any materials or any tools that are not contained within that EDC bag or that kit. So I'm not going to waste any time going to Home Depot or Lowe's or Ace Hardware. I'm not going to burn any of that time. I'm not going to have to go out to the van and dig around for tools and parts that I can't find because it's all consolidated in the kit. So let's go ahead and take a look at that kit. Alright, so here's the kit right here. It's really one of the simplest kits I have, super affordable to put together, and I use it all the time. So in the first bin, we're going to have the lifter rods. I have 3 of them in this particular kit, but you don't need 3. You're never really going to need these. And also in this kit, I have the ball rods. I have 3 of them in this kit, so 3 of the lifter rods, 3 of the ball rods. You probably will never need 3, but it doesn't hurt to have that many anyways, just in case. Next bin, I have a few stoppers, and you're always going to need stoppers, and what I want you to look at on these stoppers, if you can tell very easily, you've got short stoppers and you've got long stoppers. That's basically the only 2 types that I ever really delineate between, is there's short ones and there's long ones. Now they do come in different sizes and stuff as well, but these are mostly standardized. And so basically what you want to make sure you have is you have at least 1 long and 1 short. However, I do prefer, because we go through so many of them, I prefer to have more than 1 long and more than 1 short. And I also do prefer, and I actually don't have this in the kit right at the moment, but typically, because these are all chrome right here, typically I'm going to have 2 short and 2 long in a chrome or a brushed nickel, and then I'm going to have 1 short and 1 long of an oil rubbed bronze. Those aren't too common, but when you need one, so it doesn't hurt to have it in your kit. My kit is actually missing the oil rubbed bronze at the moment, so I'm going to add that to my list of things to put back together here. Next bin, as you might guess, I have some lifter rod extensions, and again, you're really never going to need these, but as long as you've got the kit, you may as well have them in there because you will need 1 or 2 of them per year, perhaps. Now, the only tool that I have in here, because it's the only tool you're ever really going to need when you've got this kit out, especially since you've got your EDC bag and your EDC bag already has this. Technically, you could come and do this job without your EDC bag, only using the kit, and all you're going to need is this tiny little pair of channel lock pliers, or a regular set of pliers. They don't even have to be channel lock, but just one little set of pliers is basically the only tool you're going to need. Now, I have a random parts bin, and as you can see, this is mostly the threaded pieces that are going to hold the ball on. There's different types, there's different sizes, because different companies have manufactured these in different ways over the year. And I just kind of collect these up. There's not really an inventory on it. I just know that I have the bin and that it's got plenty of those in it. And then same thing over here. You know, I've got a little bit of this Teflon tape that comes with all of these little kits that you buy. I've got more of the retaining clips. I've got different shapes and sizes of the retaining clips, and a lot of these, like this one here, is actually very different. But a lot of these are just leftovers from other kits and other jobs I've worked on. You also have these little gaskets that go inside there with the ball, but I will tell you 9 times out of 10, you don't need these gaskets because the interior workings that the ball surface is touching, typically those are already chamfered in such a way that it's just going to seal fine for you anyways. So again, this little bin does not have an actual inventory to go with it. It just has whatever it has in it for convenience sake. And then finally, they've got these new style ones that are made out of plastic, and I really don't like them, but when you buy a brand new faucet, it's generally going to come with this whole pop-up stopper assembly, and it's all made out of plastic. Feel free to install this with a new faucet, but I typically keep one of these. I just yank them out of one of the kits, and I keep one on hand here in this kit, just in case I approach a bathroom that has this new style. Then I just have literally the entire kit that I can pull parts and pieces from. But I will tell you, I never need it. I really don't. Probably 95, 99% of all of the sinks with all of the stoppers, they're all going to be the one that I showed you just now. So that's my whole kit. You can download the inventory for this kit. If you go to the bottom of the description of this video or any of my videos, you'll find a link to get my free documents. There's lots of great free documents in there that you'll use to run your handyman business, and one of those is a big giant spreadsheet that's got as many of the kits as I've been able to make and certify and do a video on one at a time. I'm adding them to that master spreadsheet, and you're going to be able to download that and build your own kits based off of my inventory and then tailor them to your business. So guys, this has been a really fun video for me to make. Thanks for watching all the way to the end if you stayed here all the way to the end. And if you have a recommendation for the next kit, please do let me know. I may have already done it, but if I haven't already done it, then I'll go ahead and make that next kit and make that next video for that next kit. And we'll just start tackling these tasks one by one by one. So with all that being said, I love you guys. I hope you're out there killing it, and I'll see y'all on the next one.